Okay, welcome today, and I'm going to show you how to do one of these questions. In fact, there's two questions. One's to calculate percentage increase in average milk yield per cow, and the other one is about a herd of cattle, meaning there's going to be an extra calculation involved. Right, so as usual, I do this is I break it down into three steps. So I take a pen. I've got the first step is the context, the second step is the data, and the third step is the actual question itself. So step one, look at the context. It's going to tell you the story about what is going to be presented to you in the table, right? So simply we'll just read it. The average yield, fat and protein content of the milk from each of the three breeds of dairy cattle were determined. The results are shown in the table, right? So we've got breed, we've got average milk yield per cow in kilograms, we've got average fat content of the milk in percentage, and average protein content of milk also in percentage, right? And it gives you the different values from three different breeds. Purebred Holstein, we've got F1 hybrid Holstein times Normandy, F1 hybrid Holstein times Scandinavian Red. So that sort of sorts out the context, gives you the data that you're going to work with, and then we finally get to the question. And the question they're giving you is, calculate the percentage increase in average milk yield per cow from the F1 hybrid Holstein times Scandinavian Red compared to the purebred Holstein cattle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the F1 hybrid, wait till that snaps into place, times Scandinavian Red, and also I'm going to highlight the purebred Holstein, okay, the purebred Holstein, and what we're looking for is the average milk yield per cow per day. So what we're going to do is look at this column here. And as we are going for percentage increase, this means that we're going to take it in the order that they come in to allow us to break that down. And we're going to work out the difference in the average milk yield per cow and then convert that to the percentage increase. So beginning with the F1 hybrid Holstein, I'm just going to take my pen, okay, and you'll see that for here we've got 51. Okay, 51.52, right? And for the other one, it's 44.80, and we're going to work out the difference between those two values. So it's going to be 51.52 minus 44.80, and that is going to give us a result of 6.72, right? So the next thing we need to do is, because it's an increase, we're going to take that difference and divide it by the base, which is going to be the lower of the values. So what I'm going to do is going to put in 6.72 divided by 44.80, and that is going to give me, put in my calculator, going to give my calculator is going to be 0.15. Okay, so we've worked out the difference, okay, but now because it's a percentage, we need to work out what percentage 6.72 is of 44.80. Because it's a percentage, we take the difference, 0.15, and we times it then by 100, which is going to give us 15%, okay, and your answer there is the percentage increase from 44.80 to 51.52 is going to be an increase of 15%, and it'll work out like 6.72 is 15% of 44.80. So if you don't trust my brain mathematics here, then give it a go yourself and just put it in your calculator and you'll get to that result. Right, so that's the first question. Now you'll see that there's a lot going on for just one mark. It's going to get even worse for the second mark. Okay, so I'm going to go into the second mark. I'm just going to clear all this down. Okay, clear all this down. and take us to the next question. This one is slightly more difficult, but again, it's only for 1 mark. So if these questions stretch out, they shouldn't, then it is just 1 mark. Go and get the other marks in the paper first that you will come across before you start to worry about this, and even put a star beside it and then go and do it later. Right, so as before, we've looked at the context, right? So stage 1, taking the context of the question. Stage 2, deciphering what the actual results are saying, right? And that will allow us then to go on and do the question B. So the fat content of milk is important for butter production. So I'm saying that it's going to be here, right? So what they're asking you is, calculate the total fat content in the milk produced in a day from a herd of 200 F1 hybrid Holstein times Normandy cattle. Right. So a thing that might go amiss here is that from the table, you will get all the information you need, but you've got to remember that in this case, we're dealing with 200 cattle. So there's going to be an extra calculation right at the end of this, right? Which is once you work out the total fat count of 1 of these hybrid Holstein times Normandy cattle, you then have to times it by 200 to get the result. Right. So looking at this, the fat content of milk, if the average yield is 48.64, right? And the average fat content of the milk is 4.25. That gives us some calculations to work with. So, well, some figures to work with. So we're dealing with this here, that there, that one there, and that one there. So, how we're going to do this is we're going to take the average milk yield per cow, which is 48.64. Okay, 48.64, and we're going to work out what 4.25% of that is. Right, now how you do it is up to you. I'll keep it very, very simple. My brain works totally different probably from the way you get taught maths in school these days, right? So just bear with me. But if I'm going to work out what 4.25% is of 48.64, how I do it is I put the 48.64, I'll divide it by 100, which will give me, on my calculator, 0.4864, right? So that's equal to 1% of the average fat content of the milk, but because we're going to need to work out what 4.25% is, I'm simply going to take 0.4864 and times it by 4.25. So 1%, to make it into 4.25%, I'm just going to multiply by 4.25 because I know what 1% is, right? So what I get from that is I get 2.0672, okay, and little calculator there, and then that is the kilogram yield, okay, for, sorry, that's not that, kilogram yield for 1 cow, but 2.0672 kilogram equals 1 cow. I need the result for 200 cows, right? So all I'm going to do here is take 2.0672 times 200, and that is going to give me 413.44, Okay, so the answer to the question is the total fat content in the milk produced in a day from a herd of 200 F1 hybrid Holstein times Normandy cattle is going to be 413.4 kilograms per day, based on 4.25% of that 48.64 per cow. From the herd of 200, you're going to get 413.44 fat content in kilograms per day. Okay, so hopefully that's helped you. I can do absolutely any question you want when it comes to National 5, higher biology, higher human biology, and also advanced higher. So the exams are coming on Tuesday. If you want me to do any question, just send me just the name. If you send me a note of where the question comes from, then I'll go and select it off a past paper or whatever, and then I'll do a live stream for it. Okay, so hopefully that's helped you with two very tricky questions that should be fairly straightforward after going through this tutorial. Okay, thank you.